Welcome back to AP US History. We're looking at the progressive movement in America. This lasts for about 20 to 25 years. Um, Teddy Roosevelt will be the first progressive president looking to reform a variety of things in the nation, from uh, the business, economics, conservation. Um, he will use the bully pulpit to institute a lot of different changes in America. He was not only a president concerned with domestic issues, but he also played a vital part in our foreign policy. If you remember the Roosevelt Corollary, which said that we would be the policemen of the Western Hemisphere. We would collect taxes. We would invade South American countries if our interests were threatened or if things needed to be settled. Um, he had this policy of talking softly and carrying a big stick. Now, his hand-picked successor to the presidency was Taft. They had a falling out because Teddy Roosevelt believed he wasn't as strong a progressive as he needed to be. He is going to run a third term. And this will be in the election of 1812. So Taft will serve from 1908 through 1912, and then they'll have the election. Because Teddy Roosevelt runs, he will run as a Republican but won't get the nomination. Later, he's going to form the Bull Moose Party, and they're going to push for changes in America. Unfortunately, third parties don't do well in American politics. It splits a Republican Party, and Wilson will come in to be the president under the Democratic ticket. And so, as a progressive, Teddy Roosevelt pushed for a variety of things. He was probably one of the stronger presidents that we've had. Um, he told people that they needed to put aside their sectional differences and work together as all good Americans should. And he gave rousing speeches throughout the United States, pushing his new program, New Nationalism. Remember, he had the Square Deal, consumer protection, conservation, and corporations, breaking up the monopolies and trust. He felt that big businesses required big government. So, to make sure that there wasn't any abuse in big business, government would have to regulate them. This didn't set well with the Republican Party. Um, it's going to the progressives and the Democrats will, in a sense, be an agreement in the respect of regulating big business. Some felt that he shouldn't run a third term because of the tradition of just running two terms. He was the latest arrival at the political zoo. We stand at the Armageddon, the battle for the Lord. This was one of their campaign songs that they sang. Uh, Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get enough votes, and he is going to fall short. Onward Christian Soldiers was the theme of his campaign. Uh, Going out and fighting the good fight. Some of the things that they were pushing for: women's suffrage, graduated income tax, taxing the rich. By the way, the 16th Amendment gave government the right to tax people, their personal income. He wanted an inheritance tax for the rich. These moguls were passing on their great wealth to their families and not paying any tax for that. He wanted a lower tariff to make it more competitive in terms of prices, cheaper prices for people, the poor, the middle class, the blue collar. Of course, the Republicans wanted a higher tariff to protect American business. Limits on campaign spending. We've heard that as early as early 20th century. There have been some reforms, but politicians continue to take money from special interest groups. Currency reform uh, leaned towards a silver standard, believed in a minimum wage law that paid everyone a basic wage for whatever kind of work you were doing. With the exception of farm workers, this other workers would fall under the minimum wage law. Wanted a Social Security program so that when you got older, you would have something that would a check coming to keep you alive. They wanted to get rid of child labor, and they also were pushing for workers' compensation. So if you got hurt on the job, you would get money paid to you while you recovered. The Socialist Party, a union Debs will run. They will garner about 1 million votes. He was certainly believed in socialism was a better way than capitalism. Leaned towards the communist ideas, more equitable and shared wealth among the workers. He was considered the working class candidate. You remember that he also was a union organizer in the IWW. He actually was arrested while he was in jail when he was running for president of the United States. He got 1 million votes, and it was good for him. I guess we could have had a president who was convicted of a felony in the presidency if he had been elected. This shows in 1912 that he almost got 1 million votes. The Socialist Party, as a third party, never really catches on in America, as do most third parties. The Populist Party never really caught on. The Progressive Party, the Bull Moose, never caught on. It's pretty much a two-party system, Democrats and Republicans. The IWW, of course, this is an organization that Eugene Debs supported and worked for. Some call it I Won't Work Union. Of course, this is names called by industrialists. The Socialist Platform, government ownership of railroads and utilities, guaranteed income tax, so everyone is going to pay their fair share, no tariffs, 8-hour workday, better housing for the poor, government inspection of factories to make sure that they were safe. They were in somewhat agreement, they believed in women's suffrage with the Progressive Party. Teddy Roosevelt is going to be nominated by the Democratic Party. He actually is not going to get as many votes as William Jennings Bryan did when he ran against McKinley, but still going to become president of the United States because there's the Republican Party is split. In the Socialist Party, although it takes in 1 million votes, just takes away from the Democratic Party. He was a former governor of New Jersey. He had been the governor of Princeton. He believed that government could operate more efficiently. He was sort of a micromanager. He did not defend African American rights, nor was he interested in the women getting the right to vote. In some ways, he was more like a conservative social agenda, but more of a progressive in the business era. As far as the African American decision, he just kind of rode the fence. Which way will he jump? And also whether he would be on the progressive side or more the reactionary or the conservative side. So he tried to keep some of his views secret. His platform is called the New Freedom. Teddy Roosevelt is New Nationalism. His is New Freedom. Everybody's got a slogan. He wanted control of monopolies, and he wanted to eliminate the bad ones. He wanted a tariff reduction. He believed in a one-term president, although he will run twice and be elected twice. direct election of senators, creation of the Department of Labor, and strengthen the Sherman Antitrust Act, which he will do with the Clayton Antitrust Act. Did not support women's suffrage, and certainly was opposed to a central bank, but during his tenure, the central bank will be created, and it still is in existence today. So this new freedom is what he was running on. The Democrats see this as a great opportunity for them because the Republican Party is split. And so, up against the hurdles, some of the things that were issues of the day: Negro question, were they going to receive more rights? Foreign immigration, were we going to keep letting foreigners come into America? The tariff, recall of judges that were incompetent. These were, when he was governor of New York, he gave lip service to some of these things. As president, he's not going to do that much domestically. As big as a balloon, the victory with tariff reform and as the issue. Well, tariff reform was a issue during this campaign, and you can see that the Republicans were the most strongly in favor of a higher tariff. The progressives, socialists, and Democratic Party were for a lower tariff or no tariff as far as the Socialist Party. In terms of conservation, there was a controversy over the Bollinger-Pinchot controversy. Simply, was the government doing enough to conserve the land in the West? And some said no. The unanswerable question of suffrage, as you can see here, Teddy Roosevelt is the one most disposed to giving women the right to vote. Never again, Taft abandons support of women's suffrage. This is apparently he felt hurt him in the election. Teddy Roosevelt here, seen as a cross-dresser, supporting apparently the women's suffrage. Some people were making fun of him because maybe he was too much in touch with women. The women's suffrage before 1920, that's when the 19th Amendment will be passed, which gave women the right to vote. As you can see, the West is going to lead the way in terms of giving people, particularly women, the right to vote. Songs of the Sunny South. Well, again, the issue of slavery and hanging blacks to trees, lynching and race issue was somewhat of an issue for the progressives, not so much for the other parties. And here this picture showing apparently the Crows representing Native American or African Americans and Teddy Roosevelt pandering to them. Mr. Lewis gets his share. Taft essentially reluctantly helping African Americans. Results of the election: this was an actual ballot. The Democrats are going to win. And we're going to stop that right now.